Hello YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montez and you're watching my YouTube channel, Nicholas Montez. Okay, so before you get into everything, I know what you're thinking. Why do I look the same as I did in my Saw review? Well, the thing is, I'm posting this by the time I just reviewed my Saw review. And today will be, since by the time we're watching this, it's March 31st, but by the time I'm filming this, it is March 22nd, Monday, which is basically last week. But, I wanted to post this video because today is March, by the time we're watching this, it's March 31st, which means the last day of March. And, I wanted to sell it, and I wanted to do something that I do my end of the month lists, whether it's non-new released or new release movies. And, I basically can do that. And yeah, but before we get started with the ranking, just be kind, because I don't think I'll be able to get my new release ranking of this month at in time, because Kong Skull Island comes out today on March 31st, and if you don't know, I have school, and plus it's 2 hours and 52 minutes long, so I'll try to watch it in time to review it, as well as do my ranking of all the new releases. I won't be doing a MonsterVerse ranking because I haven't seen many of them. But yeah, let's get into this ranking of non-new release films that I saw in March of 2021. For me, of the movies that I saw this month, this is probably the weakest one. It goes for all the weird plot lines, weird CGI. And I will say this, the CGI kind of actually did work for me, especially with Gargamel doing the spells and stuff like that. It honestly did work for me. The Smurfs were obviously cute, but at the same time, it felt a lot like Tom and Jerry, where they try to make the human characters these really cool characters, and they just didn't. They make them very awkward, and it's like, you think it's a special movie, but it's not. So overall, just a very bland movie. But I will say this, it still has some fun in it. Like, it's bad, but it loops around to where it's fun again. So that's kind of why I like the Smurfs a little bit. That's why I kind of give it a B+ in my review. Not a B+, a D+ in my review. Now, Monster vs. Aliens, I did not like at first. Well, I mean, I did like it, but it wasn't the best DreamWorks film out there. The concept of it just felt very weird to me, about Monster vs. Aliens. It was very decent. It felt it felt awkward at times, and I just don't think some of the stuff worked for me, so. And casting Reese Witherspoon as this very loud girl that turns into this monster just did not work for me. So it's enjoyable. It has a good cast, some pretty cool action sequences, some pretty cool animation, but overall just not the best DreamWorks movie out there. So I still like it, but not a whole lot. Now, B-Movie was a film that I did enjoy. I thought there was some very cool enjoyment to it. But when you really think about the film, it's not the best DreamWorks film. But at the same time, it was a fun movie, I thought. I thought it had some interesting themes, like most of these DreamWorks films, where they take these animal storylines or any type of insect storyline of things that exist in the real world and kind of make some clever twists out of it. And I think it kind of does a little bit something clever with this bee world and the bee humor and stuff like that. And I thought it worked well enough. It definitely has some cool themes and stuff like that. But most of it just kind of feels awkward, so that's why I don't really have it higher on the list. But it's still an enjoyable time, and I still like rewatching. I would still like to rewatch this. Now, just to let you know, every single movie up to this point in time is either a B plus, or an A. I mean an A minus. First away, I thought it had some pretty cool ideas. I just thought that it explored. It was not the best DreamWorks film, obviously, but it told a good story. It had some good characters, and overall, it's overall good. But it's not the best DreamWorks film out there. There's some pretty cool animation, some pretty funny scenes, but not a lot of stuff you like about DreamWorks. So I would say that this is a little bit of the weaker side of DreamWorks. I wasn't the biggest fan of most of the DreamWorks films I saw this month. But still, it still was enjoyable and I still enjoyed it. Alright, so before we get into talking about Coming to America, just to let you know, half of this video is filmed March 22nd, 2021. But then now the rest of the video is being filmed on March 23rd, 2021. So just to let you know, that's why I'm actually looking different and it's more lighter in here. So I actually did like Coming to America. My dad loves this movie. I think it has some really good stuff. I thought that the world of Zamunda was pretty cool. It reminded me a lot like The Lion King and Black Panther. The cast is of course fantastic with Eddie Murphy, James Earl Jones, Arsenio Hall. Really good stuff, and it really does feel like an 80s movie. The hairstyles, the way people dress, it all looks like an 80s film. I wouldn't say it's one of the best movies of all time, but I still enjoyed it and I still had a fun time with it. And it's pretty generic, it's decent, it's not the best movie of all time, but it is still a classic film and I still enjoy it still. Now, number 6 through number 1 are all films I would actually give a thumbs up to, like, are either a B plus or an A minus. That's how I would do this. Now, Climbing with a Chance of Meatballs, I did enjoy. I thought that it was a very fun movie. I thought the concept of this guy that was an inventor that wanted to make water into food, I thought that was a clever idea, and really just some of the characters I thought were clever, especially with the cop. Flint as a character was also really cool, and the way his relationship with his father goes is really awesome, is really engaging, and really just there's a lot of things that are clever in the concept. The problem here is that there are a couple of weird stuff, especially when it comes to the humor, but other than that, this is still a very good film, probably one of the best Sony animation films, and yeah, so I still like this movie. Just a couple of the humor bits just do not work for me. Now, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, I actually do like. I thought that this was a very good movie. It introducing us to the world of Hogwarts and really kind of explaining all the stuff that were in the books. It really does work a lot, especially when it goes to Quidditch. I thought that was one of the best scenes of the entire film. And really just the characters we got to explore are just fantastic. And also, there's like the characters, there's certain characters that you're supposed to hate and you hate them. And there's characters that you like. and there's characters that you do like, and overall it balances the characters very well, where you like them and then you hate them, and it does that very well. The reason why it's not higher on my list is because some of the graphics aren't exactly as good, and the specific story of the Sorcerer's Stone I don't think really works. But beyond that, this film is still a classic, and I would still like to rewatch this. So I just saw it yesterday. As I'm filming this video, I reviewed it by the time like I said, I'm filming this March 23rd, and I posted my review March 22nd, and I also saw it March 22nd. So technically, I saw it yesterday, and I really did enjoy it. At first, I wasn't the biggest fan of how it started, because it literally started with no context of why people were there. But then, as it kind of explored the backstory of it, you started to realize, oh, that's how all this comes together. And really, this movie almost made me cry. This is another one of those films that made me cry. And one of the films that almost made me cry was The Prince of Egypt, Inside Out, and Finding Nemo. Yeah, it's mostly more of the animated films that made me cry, but still, I still actually had a pretty good time with this, and the gory graphics in this film are fantastic, especially when he cuts off his leg and he's like, and I'm like, oh my god, oh no, like you get uncomfortable at the scenes. So this is still a very good movie. So before I give you my top 3, be sure to tell me down below, what did you think, what are your top 3 movies, what is your ranking of all the movies of non-released March movies? What did you see in March? What movies were you interested in seeing? I want to hear your thoughts down below in the description. Arthur Christmas was a very good movie. It really it had a really good theme about what Christmas really meant. And James McAvoy's character was just very fun and likable, and really just this old Santa Claus was just fun. The concept of all of this Santa Claus stuff took it in a very cool way. And the ship kind of reminded me of Thanos' ship, except Thanos' ship is way bigger. But they just had such a good theme of Christmas. Some of the characters were pretty cool, and it just had some pretty good animation. Now, the character designs of the characters, I don't think lives up to today's standards, but this is still a very good film, and one of the best Sony animation films I've seen of this series. Alright, now Kong Skull Island was a film that I actually did hear some nice things about it, but I didn't hear everybody saying it was a fantastic film. For me, I loved this movie. I just thought the story is very simple. It basically goes back to that same storyline of a guy that when you go to John Goodman's character, you know exactly, that's when the story kind of gets interesting a little bit, where he wants to go to Skull Island to explore, to take down this thing. You don't really know why he wants to go there, but you can kind of understand why though. But really, the cast is of course fantastic, and the way they're all grouped together is of course pretty good. I thought all the plot lines made sense, except the plot line about Samuel L. Jackson's character wanting to stay inside of the war. But there are some fantastic things. First off, the action sequences are probably the best thing about the film. As King Kong, he battles helicopters, he battles squids, he battles skull creatures, he battles a bunch of things. And I like how we develop his character a little bit in this film, where we actually get to spend a little bit more time with him and actually explore his backstory, like his parents, and how he's king of the Skull Island. And also, with the human characters, even the human characters get on the action. Probably one of the best scenes of the entire film is when Tom Hiddleston grabs John C. Reilly's sword and then starts tearing the pterodactyls to pieces, and it's just fantastic to see. There's some amazing shots in this movie, and John C. Reilly's character is just a fantastic arc, and it makes it for a great ending to at the end of the film. So this is a bunch of stuff I really like. Granted, the characters, they're basically thin layered characters, and Samuel L. Jackson's character, you don't really understand why he wants to go back to the war. But other than that, this is one of my favorite movies of this entire month. Now, Birds of Prey, I did hear good things about, but I didn't really expect it to be this good. Now, basically, it's a lot like Deadpool in a certain way. Basically, how it is they take this not weird concept, but for me, the stuff that they put in this movie just worked so well. First off, the way they did kind of like the storytelling in this film, I really enjoyed. And I liked how they actually put Harley Quinn as the main character. I thought that the way they changed her character, of her breaking up with the Joker and, you know, creating a new lifestyle for herself, I thought that was actually a really cool way to do her story in this film. And also the characters are also very good. The cast is also great. The action is choreographed in a way that is beautiful and colorful, and the color scheme is also really good. But also, when you go back to the action are the choreographer guys. The people that did the John Wick movies, they're coming back to do this movie, and it's really good. And I also like how it has this like Deadpool aesthetic to it. Now, I like Deadpool, but I love this movie way more. And also, Ewan McGregor as Black Mask is of course a fantastic villain. His charm, his acting in this movie is just so good, of how he just gets mad at everything. It's just a fantastic villain. I'm not saying he's one of the best villains of all time, like best movie villains of all time, but he's still a very good villain in this movie. And just the cast, some jokes don't land as everybody else, but it does sometimes feel weird at times, especially when it comes to the action and sometimes in the soundtrack. But to be honest, it all does work. So for me, I had a blast with this movie, so that's why it's my favorite movie of every single film I saw in the month of March 2021. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. My Instagram name is Marvel6 and my TikTok name is Marvel1Fan. If you guys don't understand those names, head to my about section so you can understand those social medias. I mean, you can follow on my social medias. I'll be back Friday, even though it's March 23rd, but I'll be back April 2nd, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.